going to look at lost treasure again. And today we're going to take the information that we find from lost treasure in regards to figurative language, and we are going to be filling in this graphic organizer down here. So we're going to find the examples from the text. We're going to identify the type of figurative language. We're going to think about what it means. And then we're also going to think about why the author included it in the text. It's Captain Squidlegs here, and this is my tale of how I lost old Blackbeard's treasure. I had to travel all the way to the Isle of Stubble, the home of Blackbeard and his mangy pirates, in order to get the treasure. Blackbeard and I had to make a friendly wager. I bet my ship and all of my men, and Blackbeard put up his massive chest of treasure. Luckily, I'm no stranger to a game of cards, and I quickly outfoxed the old pirate in a few hands of Old Maid. Just as I was collecting my prize, a powerful storm suddenly blew in. It was so strong that it nearly swept old Blackbeard's mustache straight off his face. It took 6 of my best men to carry the chest back to the ship, and this was a mighty chest indeed. Old Blackbeard's chest looked like a giant oyster that had opened its shell to spew out all it held within. In this case, it didn't hold a single pearl, but armloads of gold, gems, and precious stones. So remember, we had talked about this phrase right here. Chest looked like a giant oyster. So I'm going to come down here. Chest looked like a giant oyster. Type of figurative language, well, it's a simile. What does it mean? The treasure chest was large. Large, we could say massive. Because if I'm thinking about this giant oyster, I'm also picturing like in the movie The Little Mermaid, when Ariel and her sisters, they're singing closer to the beginning of the movie, and the shell opens up. Well, that's a giant oyster shell, and those girls, those mermaids, are inside of it. And so that's what I'm picturing, this giant oyster shell opening up, and all of the gold, gems, and precious stones just spewing out. Let's see. A giant oyster that had opened its shell to spew out all it held within. In this case, it didn't hold a single pearl, but armloads of gold, gems, and precious stones. As we pushed off to sea, the wind and waves fought to push us back to shore. And we talked about that being personification. Wind and waves fought to push us back to shore. Wind and waves fought to push us back to shore. And they fought, that's personification because it's giving it a human quality. What does it mean? Wind and waves were very strong and beating on the boat. Oh, we forgot to include, why did the author include it in the text? So if we go back to the giant oyster, to help, it is included to help the reader visualize the size, and that's spelled wrong, visualize the size of the oyster. This is included to help the reader understand how strong the waves were and how they were beating on the boat. Okay, so I have it filled in so far. Let's go find some more pieces of figurative language. The storm was an angry dragon attacking the ship. The storm was an angry dragon attacking the ship. Was is going to be a metaphor. Let's see. What does it mean? The storm was beating up the boat. The boat was possibly starting to fall apart because because if it's going to be attacking, it's going to be getting hurt, but both can't be hurt, so I would think that it would be falling apart. Why did the author include this? The author included this in the text to show the reader that the boat was being eaten up by the storm. Okay, we can find another piece of figurative language. Each wave that broke over the deck was a whip from the dragon's tail, knocking the men off their feet. The gusts were blasts of air from the dragon's mighty wings that tossed the ship in every direction. I don't have much more space on my graphic organizer. I'm only going to pick a couple more to fill in. I'm going to pick the wind gusts were blasts of air from the mighty wings. The wind gusts were blasts of air. What did it say? The wind gusts were blasts of air from the dragon's mighty wings. Blasts of air from the dragon's mighty wings. Figurative language. Word is going to be a metaphor. And then what does it mean? This means that the winds were very strong and powerful. Because if I think of a dragon and I think of a dragon's wings, the gusts, they're big wings, and so it's going to be very strong. This means that the winds were very strong and powerful. Why did the author include this in the text? The author included this in the text to help the reader understand the strength of the winds on the boat. Okay, and then we'll look at one more. I really like this alliteration down here. Our soggy, sinking, stinking ship struggled. Our soggy, stinking, sinking ship. Our soggy, sinking, stinking ship struggled. Okay, and this is alliteration. What does it mean? The boat is in bad shape. It is falling apart. And then why did the author include this into the text? The author included this in the text to help the reader visualize that the boat is in really bad condition and is in a really bad condition and about to fall apart. Because it's soggy, it's sinking, stinking, the ship is struggling, and it's really wanting us to know that the boat is about to fall apart, and that's why it's sinking. And so this is how I'd fill in my graphic organizer. I can use this graphic organizer for any piece of text. I just need to make sure my examples come straight from the text. I fill in the type of figurative language, fill out the meaning, and then why did the author include this in the text.